Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today's episode is about carrying your tools that you need when you're playing a show, and also when you're also going to practice. I had a question about this when I was working with somebody or just talking to somebody, and they asked me, well, what do you carry in your bag? And I told them the vital things that every drummer should have, but there seemed to be some sort of a question as to some things. So I'm going to explain my bag that I carry with, and explain the difference between the one that I have for playing out shows and then the one that I have for carrying to band practice, and what I have in there that's different from the other, but yet they're very similar. So let me explain to you my methodology about what the tools are that I have and what I need in order to play to the best of my ability when I am at practice or I'm at a gig. So this is the setup that I have for my two bags. Obviously I have them spread out, but so you can see what I have in there and how there's difference they have in each one of their settings. So in my first one, this is my performance bag that I use when I'm playing shows. Obviously the first thing that you need is, clearly you need to have the most important thing, which are your sticks. So as you can see, this is my live setup bag, and as you can see, the first things that I carry are the most essential tools, which are clearly sticks. I have also a couple items that I use, one which is called the kick block, which you put in front of your kick so that it does not move in front of you or away from you while you're playing. It has these Velcro wrapping on the back that attaches to your floor and lets it hold firmly so that your kick does not run away from you. There's an additional one that's for your hi-hat pedal, and it can be handy for a lot of things too, not only just hi-hat, but it's an essential tool that sometimes I use when I'm playing out live. My next thing that I have is my tool assortment, which I have various, different types of things. Like I have a wing nut for a cymbal, some lug nuts, washers, plastic tips for cymbals when you put them on stands, a handful of drum keys. You never know when you may need one, and it's always best to have more than one because you will be looking for one. Also, sometimes I have what is called a cymbal extender, which I put on top of a cymbal so that it works. If you need for an additional cymbal, but you don't have the resources or extra stand, it's very handy, or even for a splash. And this is where this comes in play, where you can put in your extender or your cover here, so that way you don't have your cymbal get ruined by the tread. So useful tool, very useful tool. And always I have an extra hi-hat clutch besides the one that I have on my hi-hat stand, because you never know when you may need one, or you may need to poach off of something from this one. So it's good always having an extra one. The other things that I have some sticky drum tape, which I use not exclusively for sticks, but there are occasions where sometimes you may need it for a little bit of additional grip, but I don't use it as much as I like to. I found a real cool tool which is called wax, drumstick wax, or G wax, from this product, Gibraltar. And essentially this is a piece of wax that you use and you rub on your sticks, and it puts a film on your sticks so that you have a firmer grip without having to have them fly out of your hand. This is essentially what would be replacing the tape, but there are some times where you don't want to use the wax, so you use the tape. One of the drawbacks of that is it does leave a film residue. So as you can see, some of these sticks, they have already like this film residue on them, so they come off with time, but it does leave this mark on here. But it is what it is, so I think the more important thing is the fact that they're not flying away from you, so that you're not kind of like trying to fish for a drumstick while you're playing a song. The next vital tool is additional microphone stand. This one is usually for snares, but it could be for anything really, because it's got the clamp here that you can attach it to a rim. And sometimes it comes in handy for the oddest thing that you may need, but it's nice to have one on the side. Tape. Tape is a very useful tool for many things, and it's always wise to carry some duct tape. Color is really nice because it identifies your things. If you have color codes, then that way you know what's yours and what's not. Another thing that I have is a flashlight. As silly as that sounds, sometimes when you're sitting at a show and you're looking for things and you're in the back of the stage, it's pretty dark there, so you're going to need a flashlight in order to see what you're looking for on the floor, in your bag. It's a useful tool always. Another one that I use is I also have a digital recorder, and I use this to record myself when I'm playing live. As a drummer, you always want to perfect your technique, and you always want to evaluate yourself at some point in time. And I do by using my digital recorder. So this allows me to hear what I did, how I performed it, and then with that, execute for future shows a different performance or continue with what I've been doing. A lot of great ideas came from this because sometimes I do things that I don't even think of on the fly, and they'll be lost in time if I don't remember. So it's a useful tool. This one cost me $100 on eBay. So, or there's other new ones out there. There's often different companies that offer them, but this one's a good one. I've had this one for 10 years. It's never failed me, so love it. The next thing is Old Faithful iPod. Now, this is not really an essential tool, but when you're looking for background music, you can also use it for that. You can pipe in intros for songs when you're playing live. So there are a lot of uses for this, so it's a pretty good thing to have with you at all times. You never know, one day there'll be a time where you're going to need this, and you'll be thankful for that. I think the other things that you need too also to consider are towels. Now, towels. Towels are not only just for wiping sweat, but they're also for cleaning up, shining your cymbals and all of that beforehand, and after the show you can wipe your face and your hands, wipe down things that are all kind of wet or messy, and then that way you can have your gear, not all messed up and rot and shotted. So it's essential. So I believe that having a few or a couple will be a savior when you least expect it, especially after a gig, because in wintertime, when it's 30 degrees, the last thing you want to be doing is going outside and catching a cold because you didn't wipe down the sweat on your hair or your face, and now you got a cold. So, a little tip there is keep a couple of towels. In my bag also, I carry my foot pedal, and most companies offer a case or that, but there are times when sometimes that is not the case and you gotta have it. And a drum bag is in a perfect place for putting all of this stuff in there because it is an essential tool, especially when you're on the fly and you need to put it somewhere and you know that you're gonna have it with you at all times when you put it in your drum bag. So it's best to have that in there so that you know that you've got all your equipment. And then also the duffel bag. It's nothing special, just a regular old gym bag. Certainly enough to fit everything in here, but the extra pockets allow for things to be stored away. And it's also a great fit so that you can put everything in there and it will fit and go in your bag. The thing that you need to keep in mind is that it will be heavy, but in consideration of it being heavy, you will have peace of mind knowing that your gear is going to be with you. And everything's going to be there that is essential for you so that you have everything. There's always pros and cons to it, but the pros outweigh the cons. Another tool that you should have also is Velcro strips. You never know when one of those times you're looking for something and then all of a sudden, a cable tie would be really great at that moment in time. So having a couple handy with you gives you peace of mind that you know how to do that. And obviously, when you're doing gigs and that, you have a marker so that you can sign. This one is a silver color, and a pen also, but this one has a light too as well. So that way, if you're looking for something that's not too big, or you just can't reach for your flashlight, a pen light will also do very well. So that is my live gig bag. So comes to practice bag, not much is very different from them. Obviously, again, sticks. You have your kick block. I'm not concerned about the hi-hat block because, you know, I'm not really pushing my limits on my practice set when I'm playing, so it's usually stable. Again, I have all my essentials here: drum keys, felt, washers, plastic cups, tape, the wax, the digital recorder. You could have the same one, you have an additional one. I have two little trinkets of accessories in case you need to figure out some things: cowbell, clamp, again, cymbal extender, and the hi-hat or the cowbell holder. Now, the subtle difference, obviously, between practice gig and a live gig is having separate equipment bags, because knowing that if you share one bag for everything, it's going to have you always keep in mind of what you got. But if you keep separate bags, you will know that your live gig bag is always ready and always going to be ready to go out when you're having to pick up your equipment, and that you don't have to double check, because as your own roadie, you will know what the essentials are of what you need in order to having a great perfect show. So I would suggest having two bags, a practice bag and then a live gig bag. And then that way you know that you will have everything that you need and not lose on your performance or your mental capacity for playing, because you're not going to be distraught about what did I miss, or I should have had this, or should have double checked. All those things will come at one time or another. So hopefully these items and these tips will help you get your bags together so that you're always on top of your game when you're going to play a gig or you're going to go play a practice show. So at the end of the day, knowing what you have in your bags are going to be essential tools in having you make the best performance that you can deliver when you're playing out or when you're even practicing with your own band. So I hope that this has been an informative video for you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Please like this video and also subscribe if you have not, and I will catch you at the next video.